I'm Dr. Cynthia Evers, Vice President for Student Affairs, and I provide strategic direction for the Division of Student Affairs. There have been many experiences that have kind of shaped my trajectory towards working in leadership. I've always worked in different facets of higher education or education in general. My first experience in education was when I was a high school English teacher for literature. And then I kind of enhanced and went on to work in administration within higher education. During my career experiences, I've had an opportunity to just really tailor all my career experiences around education. Even back when I was very, very young, I've always wanted, as a child, to be a teacher. And as a result, for Christmas, I would ask for a whiteboard with markers so that I could teach. And of course, my students were my three brothers. And I had three brothers, and one brother, of course, was the A student. The other brother gave me great experience in conduct. And then the third brother he would just kind of appease me in order to do this. But it was so important for me to just be involved in the educational experience. And throughout my educational career, that's exactly what I did. I had an opportunity to be a high school literature English teacher. I had an opportunity to work in different modes of education, from 2-year institution, 4-year institutions, state, public, HBCUs, just a whole gamut of different types of institutions, and to enhance my experience so that eventually I wanted to become an administrator, and that's what I did. And in addition to working at institutions of higher education, I also had an opportunity to work for state departments of education as well. Some of the units that I work with has to do with student services. Within student services, there's Veterans Affairs, there's accessibility services, and in addition, it's just the wellness and the overall support for students. In addition, I work with the Office of University Counseling, athletics, student code of conduct, housing, and also residence life and off-campus housing. And in addition, campus life, which encompasses a whole gamut of student organizations and just opportunities for students to develop and to become leaders outside of the actual classroom. My leadership style evolves around situational leadership. It depends upon what the situation is. For example, there have been instances where I've had to do transformational leadership because there was a requirement for change or a requirement for something to be something different. I've always tried to lead with servant leadership because I think it's so important to be able to serve and assist students and just people in general. It's important to lead by example. I think that you can say this is the way to do something, but it's equally important to be able to show those differences or the things that you want people to do. We are very fortunate to have a leader who values women's perception or women's feedback or just the women's experience, and values it so much so that women are able to flourish in this type of environment. It's so important in student development to make sure that you tap upon the holistic student. It's important that you make certain that you prepare these students for what we often call the real world when they leave the gates or the campus of Howard University. And that encompasses making sure that they are academically prepared, of course, but also that they have the experiences and the engagement where they're able to not only just be successful, but contribute to society as well. There are several initiatives in which we engage students and faculty. For example, we have a lot of different student organizations that are in place, and each of those student organizations must have some type of advisor of sorts, and that advisor is typically a faculty member, or it could be a staff member as well. But it's important for the two to interact and engage and be able to support one another and be mentors and just guides and coaches and things of that nature. It's very important to have mentorship as it relates to leadership for women of color, African American women. I've done research as it relates to women in political leadership. And I'm hopeful that some of the research that I've done will be a pathway for women to grow and enhance and become the leaders that they want to be. I would say it's very important to be able to think about some type of vision or some type of plan as to what you're wanting to do in your life. It's important to not only read, but read great books that are tailored to what some of the needs that you have. It's important to build relationships and make sure that you establish friends and create mentorships and things of that nature. And it's important to be bold and just really think about your career direction and what you really want to do. The one way that I think you can always apply your values would be to model the values that you would like to see. Also, it's important to listen, to be able to surround yourself with individuals that are diverse and individuals that are expert in their craft, so that you are able to just hear differences as opposed to just one perspective. Some of the lessons learned, I would say, is that it's important to have self-reflect, to look at yourself and think about what your strengths, what your areas of improvement are, and just overall assessment. I think it's important to be adaptable and flexible, and be able to shift and pivot when things come about. And overall, I would say that it's important to continue to grow educationally. I like to think that I'm a transformational and servant leader, and that I've also made a difference with students and families. Also that I have a passion for work and commitment to serving others. And along with the research that I've done with political leadership in women, I'm hopeful that I've kind of left a pathway for women to be successful in leadership. The top 3 leadership values, there's some obvious ones, communication, respect, and so forth, but the one critical one that comes to mind has to do with integrity. And to me, it's very, very significant. And it's, I think it's important to try to set positive examples. And even if you have conflict, there's a way that you can do it so that it's respectful, and practice accountability. Another important value of leadership has to do with relationship building. It's so important to be able to build community and to work together so that you can achieve higher outcomes. And then the third one, I would say resilience. Now that's a new one for me, simply because we as a society have been through a heavy lift as it relates to the pandemic. And as a result, it's important for us to recognize that we have been resilient. We've gotten innovative as to how we do things. We've gotten to be creative, and it's important for us to, as it relates to resilience, to know that it's important as a leader to be able to connect with one another.